So I totally called it, guys, a new fusion. I knew it was going to come relatively soon. However, it's not a dwarf. I really thought it was going to be a dwarf. They kind of talked about not having enough dwarfs, and then they kind of turn around and give us something different, but it is a partner. So it's like two legendaries working together. We're going to look at those champions. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to be a mama. It looks like it's going to be more of a chick or something and a dude. So we're just going to go over the skills real quick. We're also going to quickly cover this Doom Tower. Did that impact your ability to do the Magma Dragon so far? I want to know in the comments below. All that said, let's jump right in. Before I get started, let me do another quick shout out to Amazon's new platform, a social platform for sharing video game clips. It is called Game On. I just started recently. I would love to have your support. I posted another video today, which is going to be basically my run against the Magma Dragon. So if you want a little bit more details on how that works, feel free to go check it out. Make sure you follow, obviously download the app, and probably starting next week, I will have some kind of giveaway around specifically this, so make sure you get a head start. We're probably looking at a very generous gift card. Right now, on to the Doom Tower update. We've had new passes added to some of the bosses. For example, the Nether Spider will now always attack with her second skill, Brood Feast, at the beginning of the round. Does that mean the second you walk in there, she's going to do this? I can't wait to find out, because that might really affect the ability of your usual team to finish this. Then we have 3 of the current Doom Tower bosses, the Frost, Nether, and the Magma Dragon, now all have a new passive skill on top of that, which is Almighty Strength. Damage from skills that scale based on enemy max HP cannot exceed 10% of the boss's max HP when attacking the boss. So that means Cold Hearts are not going to deal as much damage. Still, if you want to see how I deal with the Magma Dragon, this will not impact my team, so make sure you check out that Game On clip, because I do clearly show what I do to deal with that boss, right? Then we have 2 of the current Doom Tower bosses, the Frost and the Nether Spider, all also have another new passive skill. Almighty Persistence, 50% less turn meter reduction. So that is going to hurt. That is going to hurt quite a bit, although I don't really do turn meter reduction on the Frost Spider. But for the Nether Spider, basically my entire team revolves around controlling the turn meter. So I'm really eager to see if I'm going to be able to survive my 3rd round to the top of the hard Doom Tower. All that said, now let's go on to these new champions, which we are probably going to get as early as next week, because the patch is due next week, and I would assume that if they're announcing a fusion, we're going to get that next week as well. So the fitting room we've covered before, we're not going to spend any time on that. Instead, let's focus on Astrolon, a magic attack champion from the Sacred Order. Single target hitter on the A1, which will bring in his partner. I'm assuming this is the dude, and then the other one is the chick. We're going to check that after. So they're going to partner up together to attack if they're both on the same team. The A2 here, we're ignoring defense. That's always really, really good. And if we kill somebody, I believe we will revive a random ally, and we place a shield buff on them. Also place a shield buff on this champion equal to their max HP for 2 turns if this attack kills an enemy. So it really needs to kill an enemy, but we're ignoring literally increased defense, strengthen, and ally protection. That's kind of huge. And then the A3 here, which looks absolutely insane. You remove all buffs from targets under Veil and Perfect Veil. Hello, counter to Duchess, right? Good counter to Duchess. I'm thinking this champion is going to be really, really solid. And on top of that, we attack all enemies, and we have a 75% chance, but listen to this, you can book this to 100% chance of placing a stun debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, on a 4-turn cooldown. The A2 is on a 3-turn cooldown once booked. This is pretty solid. And then for the passive here, we have fill this champion's turn meter by 3% every time an ally is hit. Decrease incoming damage by 25% of the if the attacker's attack is lower than this champion's. Looks absolutely insane. I strongly suggest you go for this champion. And then the next one is the partner to Astrolon called Countess Lix. She also has a weaken on the A1. She has attacks all enemies 3 times. Each hit has a chance of placing decreased speed, as well as decreasing the turn meter on each hit. Kind of really intense. Next one, we have attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a block cooldown skills debuff for 2 turns. Also decrease the cooldown of all ally skills except this champion by 1 turn. This can be booked to a 5-turn cooldown. And then we have removes 1 random debuff from Astrolon and this champion at the start of each turn, only available if Astrolon is on the team. So basically they need to be there together. And also here for the passive, we have fills this champion turn meter by 5% for each time they receive a debuff. So again, very interesting champion, great combo, probably a lot better than the other combos we have in the game. Now let's keep going here. Let's try to do the other ones real quick. We have finally a Dwarf, a Void Dwarf epic. We have a leech on the A1. We have increased attack and turn meter increase on the A2. This is kind of good. If you don't yet have Gorgrab or Arbiter, you can go like Haikatune into this guy, assuming he does his A2 first. And then for the A3, it looks pretty intense as well. We have remove all debuffs from all allies. That number 1 there is really good. Put this guy in an immunity set. That's probably a good move. Then heals all allies by 25% of this champion's max HP. And if it is ascended, you on top of that add continuous heals to any debuffs that were removed. A little bit dangerous for torments, but still overall, I think this is going to be a really good champion. And you have an aura for increased attack. Then the next one is a spirit support Lizardman, where we have a chance at extending the buffs on a random ally on the A1. We have a heal and shield on all the allies on our team. As for the A3, we have perfect veil and 50% increased attack buff on for 2 turns on all allies whose attack is higher than their defense, so obviously aimed for our nukers. On top of that, we have a 60% increased defense buff for 2 turns and block debuffs for 1 turn on all allies whose defense is higher than their attack, so very conditional. What I would love to know about this skill is, are we going to get the block debuffs first? Then let's keep going here. We have Pestilence, a Knight's Rev support spirit type champion. We have a leech on the A1. We have an HP burn on the A2 and a heal on top of that, and a turn meter increase if the HP burn is placed. Then we've got the A3, a 50% increased accuracy, which is really good for the Doom Tower now, we know that, and 30% increased crit damage on all allies for 2 turns, and an accuracy aura. All right, so if you're lacking that little bit of accuracy, this guy is maybe your new go-to. And then the next one is Godseeker Anari. We have a heal off of the A1. As for the A2, we have an AoE heal depending, I believe, on their max HP, decrease the duration of all buffs on all enemies by 1 turn, and increase the duration of all buffs on our allies by 1 turn. Kind of really interesting. For the A3, we have revive a dead ally with 50% HP and fills their turn meter by 50%. Resets the cooldowns of all their skills. Interesting. So very unique combination there of effects. Passive, we have increased the amount of healing allies receive by 10%. Kind of cool. Active effect, if an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, prevents that hit and instantly places a revive on death buff for them for 1 turn before the damage is taken. Interesting. So again, very unique mechanisms to them. I think it's really, really cool. Let's keep going here. We have Cloudclaude Beastfeeder. So Ogryn Tribe's magic champion, HP type. On the A1, we have a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased crit rate. Interesting. Place a shield buff on all allies equal to 20% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns. Then we've got place 30% increased speed buff and 50% increased accuracy on all allies for 2 turns. Again, very good for the Doom Tower. And finally, we got heals the ally with the lowest HP by 10% of their max HP at the start of this champion's turn. So great support champion. We have down here Abyssal, which is a spirit support demon spawn, attacks all enemies on the A1. AoE A1. Then we heal all allies by 15% of their max HP on the A2. And A3 is 30% increased defense buff, 25% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Interesting champion, right? This is a rare, so like perhaps has some use as you guys are progressing. Increase ally speed in faction wars by 16%. And finally down here, they're saying something really important, that they will be reducing the amount of gold bars you get at the end of the week, right? So I think this is to prevent some players from just sitting there and not doing anything and then still getting the rewards. It is saying that you need to do at least 10 series in the tag team arena to claim. All right, so they're also going to, however, increase the amount of gold bars you get per victory to compensate for that. All right, so it's kind of just to, I guess, protect against the players who are not doing anything. Furthermore, we're expanding item pools for tier in the bazaar. This will include charm chests, which is really good, player avatars for each tier, Okay, fragments of rare void champions required to fuse Broadma, so you can fuse yourself an army of Broadma. But no, all kidding aside, if you have champion chase tournaments and you're short on a couple of points, you can now do this for like 350 points more often. That's a great strategy to save shards, so hopefully you guys can hit the fusion champions a little bit more often. And finally, they talk about a couple changes for the Forge UI. I'm not going to cover this in details, and they had talked about the clan boss keys before. So guys, there you have it, the recent changes that are ongoing in the game. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Hopefully you've learned something today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you later.